So Kai is a little 4-year-old that I played with yesterday for the first time, and I tried to show people the same things that I would do on a 2-year-old, on how I would start a 2-year-old for his very first ride. And Kai, well, he's so far from a 2-year-old it's not funny. This is the first time I've played with him today, and I'm going to try and see if I can get a few things done like yesterday. If I was to put Kai in the paddock with one of my dominant mares at home, this is what they do. They wouldn't put a halter on and chase each other around, but the other horse would chase the other one away. Horses don't, unless they're going to fight, don't stand up and talk to each other too much. It's all done through movement in feet. Just going to show you something I did yesterday with Kai. If I let him out here and do what we'd call traditional lunging, let him look out of the circle, I'm not getting much done. You'll see he looks out as he travels around, and I become pretty much useless to him in the middle. So I'm going to take my hand into my belly button and ask Kai to bend around me. I want to put myself in what I call a ridden position. For those of you yesterday, I would tell you that a ridden position is me being in line with his rib cage where I'd be sitting. When I stop, I want his hind end to roll away. He's got a lot of energy here today, a lot more than he had when I finished off yesterday. And the ground's a lot more solid today. Yesterday he slipped a bit when I slipped him up to canter. So today I can spread him up and ask him to do a little bit more. All I'm really looking for here is the same sort of movement I would when I ride. I would want him to go around my inside leg. There he leans his belly on me a little. I want him to go around my inside leg. To stop him, I'm going to roll his hind end out of the way. I can pull on this gelding's head. That's not really going to stop his feet. What I need to do is take his engine away, and his engine is his hind end. You see there, he doesn't stop straight away. It takes time to bring his inside hind foot across. He's a lot more alive. I probably took 10-15 minutes before I brought the stock whip in yesterday. But I'm going to work the whip in here today as he travels around. The last thing I'm going to do is tell this gelding to stand still. I want him to move if he's got energy. If I was to do a demo here with my 3 bridleless and saddleless performance horses, Queensland's a little too far away to bring them here to Western Australia, I probably would have done 15-20 minutes and set them up at the back. I could have done the same with Kai and done more of a show, but I want to show you what I would do if he's a little bit fresh. All I'm looking for him to do is to travel. And you see that when I swing the whip up over the top of his head, he hesitates for half a second. What I'm looking for is to see no hesitation, no change of direction, and no change of speed. So I'm just going to crack the whip as he travels around. I don't want him to do that. I don't want him to stop, to turn, or change direction. I just want him to travel. Now, if he gets really locked up in his feet, he can stand up. If I keep those feet moving, he's not able to. I spoke about yesterday, a horse that rears, bucks, kicks, or jumps. If we call them a rear, it's very much like calling someone a murderer or a burglar. It becomes a label that that horse is stuck with. The only reason this horse is going to rear is if he stands on his hind end. A rear is just energy that's not able to roll up. So here I'm going to just work around to the left and ask him just to travel along. I'm looking for no hesitation and none of this throwing head up and down. If he did that all the time, if that's the sort of horse he was in the paddock with no pressure, you see I just guide him out and bring my hand back to my belly button. If he was the sort of horse that travelled like that all the time and that was him, I would allow it to happen, but he's not. He's a gelding that can travel around pretty soft and free. Here I might see, I can ask him to stand still. Yesterday I finished up cracking 2 whips around him like this. He walks away, I'll just stand on his lead here. I'm not going to make a huge thing out of telling him to stand still. I'm going to ask him to move again. If he wants to move, I'm going to ask him to. I sometimes get to clinics and have people bring along horses that they call lazy, and you'll free a horse up here in groundwork and all of a sudden they're not lazy anymore. Some horses can hide themselves a little. Yesterday he might have been doing that just a bit. Today he's come in with a lot more energy in the work that I've asked him to do. By coming closer here, you'll notice that my hand goes from my belly button to straight. I'll try and get him out of that thicker work here. My arm goes straight because what I'm looking to do is to have his hind end go around my hand. If I make my arm loose, this horse can bump into me. If I have my arm here, he can run his shoulder over the top of me, or he's going to push and run on top of my feet. So what I do is hold my arm straight. The reason for that is so he can go around me. If he pushes into me too much, he will push me out of the way. I only do this after my groundwork is all right at a distance. When I get in here, I am too close if things go wrong. Out here, I'm a lot safer, but then I'm not teaching you much about ridden work. Remember when we ride? Our ridden work comes from up near our hip, up near the front of our horse's saddle. So I want to be able to ask for his hind end to free up. I didn't do much of it yesterday. You see he had too much energy there. Instead of his inside hind stepping across, he went up in the air. To go into a back up or sideways movement, I talk to the hip first. The hip is the first thing that backs. The hip is the first thing that goes sideways. Yesterday I only just touched on this, but there's sideways movement there. I use my left hand as my leg and my right hand as my rein hand. I call this ridden work from the ground. Everything I do on my horse's ground, on the ground with him, should be the same as when I ride. Everything I do when I'm on his back will be the same as when I'm on the ground. So if I was on his back and wanted him to side pass, I would start his hind end moving, free up his inside hind foot. I would point my left hand up towards his left shoulder and ask him to travel away. There's a lot of ways to side pass a horse. I've seen horses side pass down along a fence. My worry with that is the horse isn't able to go forward if he gets upset, and then you'll get a horse that will evade you in a side pass. I want him to go sideways before me here and then forward. Without having a fence, which I would call a crutch, I don't use a fence to side pass or to turn on, because to me your horse will start to use that. It will become a crutch, become an artificial aid. I want to be able to take my feet forward into a side pass and then bring him forward. He's still got a little bit of energy, but he's travelling fairly nice. I'm going to bring out a bag and stick, which I didn't work with him yesterday. I did use the tarp, and I'm going to do a bit more with him here. When I started off, I show you the very basics that I want is for him to travel around me with lateral flexion. My horses will do this at walk, trot and canter at this distance at home. I have my hand into my belly button, take a deep step towards his hind end and then stop. To ask him to come out to the left, I'm going to take head, neck, shoulder and rib cage.
Well, hi guys, welcome back. Now we're here with the beautiful Marwari and Mr.
Raghuvinder Singh Dunlod.
Thanks for helping me out, Bunny. Now, we're here for the Marwari. Can you please tell the guys at home a little bit about this beautiful horse that nearly became extinct?
Right. The Marwari horse has been bred and brought up in India mainly for the battles. He's been a war horse, and he was mainly bred in the area of Marwar, which means literally in our Indian language, in the language of Rajasthan, means the land of death. Because so many battles were fought in that area, the Marwar meant land of death. And these horses were bred in that particular area. And that's why the name Marwari comes to this particular breed.
Well, now what we're going to do, Bonnie, I'm going to let you go on your own now and point out the characteristics of the Marwari for the guys at home.
Okay.
So I'll get out of the way and you show the guys at home, tell them about this beautiful stallion here.
Well, to begin with, the stallion is called Divana. That's the name. And he is now 8 years old. He's now 8 years old. And Bas, baby. And he has been with us now for about 3 years, and very, very good. We can take him out on long rides with the horses, with the mares, and he's very, very good on the tack. We have used him for breeding, and he's given us some very good foals and fillies. And he is on the list to be sent now to Europe, hopefully to England, because he is he's stabled with us here, but he is now owned by Dale Durfee, who has done the photographs for the Marwari Horse book with Francesca. And she has fallen in love totally with this horse, and she wants him in England. So we are in the process of trying to get him out to go to England. Basically, as to begin with, the heights of the Marwari horses is not too big, as you can see. Anywhere from 15 onwards is considered a very good height. This horse is about 15 hands, which is very good. And then they are not too broad from their chest, they are narrow. And most unique characteristics of this horse, which no other horse in the world ever has, are these lovely ears pointed inwards. And as you can see, they turn to a lot in degrees, which no other horse's ears can turn as much as these horses' ears can turn. Of course, it's connected again with nature, with the natural surroundings. We go back and try to find out why this is there, the inward turn, the turning of the ears, why are they so sensitive? And I believe it's to do with, again, battles, the noise of drums, the sound of cavalry movements. The horses used to be alert, you hear it, the enemy would know, you would know that the cavalries are moving, and all these were attributed to the ears. When horses moved, thousands of horses moved in a battle, there was so much of sand in the desert. It was a very natural protection for the horses to keep turning their ears to avoid the dust and the sand going into their ears. So this is a very, very unique feature of this Marwari breed. They are very small as far as their hooves are concerned. It's not very big. Again, because of the desert conditions, they would skip, they would go very fast. There's a fifth gait known as reval, and these horses move very fast in the desert with that gait. They don't dig into the sand deep. So the rider is comfortable, he's not posting while trotting, he's sort of sitting back, and the horse goes very fast on the sand. See them run very fast. We'll try and give a demo on one of our horses for you to have a look at it. We like to keep the manes on the horses. There's one very unique thing also. We don't like to cut them. We don't try and trim them. We like to keep them as natural as we can, because that we feel that looks the best on the horse, the way naturally the mane is left. They are not very, it's not a low back, but we do like the horses' withers to be higher than their croup, and they are very well, the tails are well set, and they are very comfortable on long distance riding. We have now taken out a breed standard by the Indigenous Horse Society of India, and we are trying that people should breed their horses keeping in view those breed standards, so that the breed is improved a lot. That's what we are trying to do.
Hi guys, today we're here with Mark Bonnell. Here you go, Mark.
Okay.
Mark's going to be explaining when we should be doing our horse's teeth, how often, and what method you're going to be using. Is that right, Mark?
That's it, Joe.
So when is the right time to do their teeth, or what sign does the horses give us?
Generally, if a horse has sharp teeth, they'll be dropping their feed.
Yep.
Or perhaps they're finding it difficult to eat their carrots or something such as loosened hay that they would normally find easy to eat.
Yep.
Or you'll notice around their feed bin that there's a lot of food on the ground and they're dropping feed.
Okay.
The other thing is when you're riding the horse, especially a performance horse that's wearing a bit, they may be tossing their head or a little bit difficult to train.
Agitated.
That's right, they're not happy.
Yeah.
As the horse owner, I respect anything any horse owner says, and I have 10-year-old kids ring me and say, my pony's dropping its carrots, it wasn't last week, and generally there is a good reason for the change in behaviour.
Okay, now how often should we do their teeth once their teeth have been done?
Good question, Joe. Generally, once a year is a good routine maintenance type program for most horses. Once you start hard feeding a horse, the harder you feed a horse, the faster their teeth wear.
Yep.
So once they're off the diet of grass and hay, and perhaps you're feeding them twice a day, it may be an eventer or a dressage horse or even a race horse or a polo cross horse, a horse that's under a fair bit of a workload requiring a lot of energy, it is a good idea to get their teeth checked twice a year.
Okay, but some horses for trial riding, for people that just own their horses for pleasure, once a year would be enough.
Good routine maintenance, that's what we're trying to educate the horse owner in.
Now, I've seen a lot of methods. What kind of method are you going to be using today?
Okay, I'm going to use a very traditional method. I was taught by a gentleman called Ted McLean, who was a horse dentist for 50 years. He learnt off his father, who was a horse dentist for 48 years.
Keep it in the family.
That's right. We'll be putting a gag on this horse. Now, gag's a restraint which was developed some 100-odd years ago, and this is to hold the horse's mouth and their teeth apart while they're getting their teeth rasped. I'll be using some rasps, which are manually operated. And we have a tungsten carbide blade in here. That white material there is actually tooth matter.
Okay.
And we'll be gently rasping the sharp enamel points that develop as a consequence of how the horses eat. Doing the horse's teeth doesn't actually hurt the horse. The most difficult thing for the horse is to feel comfortable with a rasp in its mouth and with a gag on. The gag's actually a restraint, which some horses resist being restrained in any way. So wearing a gag is an inconvenience and uncomfortable, and they let you know. I don't want to fight the 500 kilo animal. Physically, this is a battle I'll never win, so we're far better off going around in a manner that's using horsemanship and a gentle approach to encourage the horse to stand as quietly as possible. Just introducing the rasp to this mare's teeth. I'm gently rasping the enamel points. Horses have what they call a 3/4 bite. And by that we mean they actually wear away 3/4 of their own teeth, especially the molars, which are up the back of the mouth, which I'm rasping now. My job as a horse dentist is to simply rasp off the parts of her teeth that she can't naturally wear off. And as you can see, she's quite enjoyed that, as much as going to a dentist could ever be enjoyable. When choosing a dentist, it's always important to find out, first of all, that they have a good reputation, that they're qualified, and that they're insured. 3 simple things that, for your horse's sake and your own peace of mind when working on your property, that everything is done correctly. We're just fitting the gag. The worst thing I could do for this horse is overdress or over-rasp her teeth. That would render her mouth incapable of crushing cellulose up. Once again, we can see the white matter on the rasp. All horses' teeth are designed for is crushing grass or cellulose up into as fine a particle size as possible so it can be digested, especially by the bacteria in the large intestine. By crushing open the grass, other nutrients such as sugars, starches and proteins, it's all right, sweetie, are also broken down by the horse's digestive tract. Once a horse has swallowed its food, there's nothing in its digestive system to change the nature of that food. So say if they're eating oats and it happens to swallow a whole oat, that oat will go through its entire digestive system, which takes approximately 40 hours, and that whole oat will be in its manure. So that's a good way of telling that your horse has bad or sharp teeth. If there's whole feed or whole grain in their manure, they're not digesting it completely. The amount of force required to break cellulose down is actually quite high. For instance, to break bone, it takes approximately 3 kilograms per centimetre of force to break bone. It takes 76 kilograms per centimetre, of force to break down grass. So the amount of force and energy required to break grass down to a point where it can be digested is actually quite high. And that's why the horses have evolved with extremely large masseter muscles. They're the muscles around the back of the jaw here that work the 2 jaw bones against each other. And the masseter muscles are an enormously efficient muscle. It's approximately 4 times more anaerobically efficient than their heart. So it's a very efficient muscle, working a very strong bone, and the only weak chain in the link is actually the teeth. The teeth are the things that continually wear and need constant attention. At this moment, I'm actually working on her first cheek teeth nearest the bit. Even though Tatiana doesn't ride this mare often with a bit, I'm going to slightly change the shape of her teeth nearest the bit so that she's comfortable while she's wearing a bridle. Horses weren't born to have bits in their mouth. That's something we've decided to do to the horse in order to control it and communicate with it. The reason I stop every now and again is to give this mare a chance just to catch her breath and to relax. The gag is uncomfortable, and we need to make this as pleasant as possible for this mare. And hopefully next time she'll enjoy getting her teeth done again. Sweetie. And as you can see, she's not absolutely complaining, but she's at some point she's actually enjoying a lot of this, and that's how it should fairly much be. If you get a fractious or difficult horse, or a horse that requires a lot more work than the routine job that I'm doing here today, the horse may need sedating. Now, sedation isn't something that you need to be frightened of with your horse for safety reasons, not only for your own, but also for the dentist and your property. You don't want your horse hurt or your property damaged. You may have to have the horse sedated. It's actually against the law for anyone other than a veterinarian to sedate a horse. So it's very important that you use the right professional for the right job, and that way you're ensuring nothing could possibly go wrong.